What's up, Wolfpack? I'm back with another video for the Alan Jackson Who Says You Can't Cook It All cookbook series. And let's get it.
The almighty dollar and the lust for worldwide fame slowly killed tradition.
Hit a little traffic. Optimus.
Decepticons.
I'll say this first, Mr. Jackson. I call you that, just out of respect. I don't know, for an interview, should I call you Alan? Like, how do you want me to refer to you publicly? Because I would call you Mr. Jackson if I saw you in person.
No, I like just my first name's fine. Or whatever you feel comfortable with. I don't really care.
All right, Mr. Alan
Just
Jackson.
don't call me Al.
Well, wasn't that your name early on, though? Didn't people call you Al? Weren't you using that as your name?
Just people that didn't like me called me that. Yeah. No, nobody ever called me Al. They called me AJ. That kind of thing.
Back in like '86 or so,
Yeah.
when you were on You Can Be a Star on TNN, which, by the way, my grandma and I would watch TNN all the time. That's where we watched. That's where I really fell in love with the Opry, was TNN.
Yeah.
Like, did anyone come off of that show, You Can Be a Star, other than yourself? Do you remember anybody else on that show?
Well, the truth is, I wasn't a contestant on that show. I worked at TNN in the mailroom, and so the people that worked there with me knew I was aspiring to be a singer and songwriter. And one day I was just standing around backstage when that show was taping. They said, "Hey, we need somebody else to sing going into commercial." Because they pull people out of the audience to sing, just a guest audience member just to sing going into the commercial. And they asked me if I wanted to sing, and so I jumped up there.
So you jumped from working for the network backstage to just hopping on stage. Do you remember that and thinking, holy crap, this is a big performance here? Or was it just another day because you were playing at night already anyway?
No, that was huge. I mean, that was the first time I'd ever done anything in front of a camera, I would imagine. I had my old brown cowboy hat back there. The first cowboy hat I'd ever bought and owned, and I stuck it on my head and went out there and sang a George Jones song.
If you go out in public now and you're not wearing your cowboy hat, will people know that it's you?
I get recognized quite a bit with just a ball cap or something on it. You're more diehard fans that know me well, but I think as I've gotten older, I don't look quite as same as some of those early videos. So, but yeah, I don't. Cowboy hat definitely you stand out a little more.
On with Alan Jackson right now, which, by the way, the full album, Where Have You Gone, available May 14th. But we got a couple songs out now. Let's talk about some of them. Why don't we talk first about Where Have You Gone? You wrote the song by yourself, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Now, nowadays, most writing is happening in rooms of 2 and 3, sometimes 4. How common was it back 10, 15, 20 years ago to actually write a song by yourself versus, like it is now?
I don't think it was much different back then. If you're a songwriter in Nashville or an artist hanging around town and you're writing with other writers, I would typically write with somebody else or maybe 3, but occasionally I'd write something by myself. I think I just kind of grew into it because once my career took off, I was gone all the time, and I was on the road, so I was pretty much had to write by myself unless somebody wanted to come with me, and then that's how it just kind of developed, I guess.
How do you know when you write by yourself if it's actually good? Because anytime I write jokes by myself or anytime I write in dopey songs, like I kind of need that other person to tell me that I'm not that funny. Like when you're writing, how do you know if you're like, yep, I did it all, I know it's good?
Well, I don't know if I know that either. I think you definitely, when you write something of your own and you're singing it, you get real close to it. It's hard to have the perspective of somebody that's never heard it before. But, my wife's a pretty good board to bounce it off of. And I think I just feel like I know when gut instinct tells me usually if it's a pretty good song, and I'm not always right, but I mean, I've written a lot of things that I realized weren't top shelf, and everybody does. So you don't really know. I mean, like Denise, one time I wrote this song that she told me was stupid, and it went on to be a #1 hit. And, so you never know.
And what song was that, if we can ask?
Gosh, I wish you hadn't asked me that now. It's not I'm in love with you, baby. It's, I can't remember.
If it comes to you, let us know. Did you ever have a song that you wrote? I mean, you're in the Songwriter Hall of Fame, so, you know, you're writing song after song, great songs. But did you ever have a song and you thought, I don't think that song's going to do much, but then it ended up being a big smash and you were surprised by it?
Yes, Chattahoochee.
When you finished Chattahoochee, you finished writing in that room that day, did you go, all right, this is never going to be heard by anybody other than us who wrote the song?
Well, Jim McBride and I wrote that, and I just thought that it was, you know, a title of the name of a river in Georgia that I grew up on and around, and nobody, unless they were from that area, were even going to know what in the world I was singing about. And it was, I guess the song was really more than that. It was a growing up, kind of coming of age song in a small town, and I realized later that everybody had a Chattahoochee or something like that, so they related to it regardless of the title. So I was wrong on that one.
I mean, I still play that song about once every 2 weeks. I will play Chattahoochee just because I feel like playing Chattahoochee. And here we are this many years later. Do you ever hear it on the radio today? And you're like, dang, I cannot believe that song is still sounding good.
Well, I don't, I hear my songs every now and then. Yeah, they all surprise me that they're still out there. But yeah, I get, I mean, I've sung that thing a million times, you know, on stage, and people still jump up on their feet and they love that thing.
So a couple songs I want to talk about in the new project, You'll Always Be My Baby and I Do. Now, they were both written for your daughter's wedding. Is that true?
That's absolutely right. My oldest daughter, Maddie, was first to get married 3 or 4 years ago now, and they wanted a song. She wanted me to write a song for the father-daughter dance, you know, that they do at the reception. And so I wrote that, and then I told all 3 of my girls, I said, look, I wrote this song for the dance, and I'm not going to write one for every wedding, so all 3 of y'all got to use this. so far I've used it twice.
Did you ever early in your career play a wedding to make some extra cash?
Very rarely, but I did do a couple that were friends of my wife, I think. Even after I came to Nashville, my steel player that's been with me for about 30 years, he was in that little band, and we went down to Atlanta and played this little backyard reception for this wedding, and he still every now and then will bring that up and laugh about it, us playing that wedding. I sang at my own wedding.
Wait, say that again. I need to hear you say that again. You did what?
When Denise and I got married, you know, I was singing then, just kind of, you know, weekend warrior thing in Georgia. And so when we got married, we said our vows, and before you do the ring thing, I sang this wedding song that Pat Terry, was a Christian writer around Atlanta area, wrote it. And it's a real pretty song. And I stood there and sang it to her and up at the church in front of everybody. That was hard.
Yeah, I was going to say, how hard was that to sing at your own wedding? I mean, I feel like I'd probably be a bit emotional while I was doing it.
Yeah, I think I was just more nervous and scared than I was emotional. But yeah, I got through it pretty good, I thought.
Alan Jackson's on with us right now. Hey, what role did you have? And I asked this from someone who was in musicals myself back in the day. In Oklahoma, if I'm correct, you were in the production of Oklahoma. Who were you?
Oklahoma. Gosh, I don't know the characters by name, but I don't know who I don't
Did
know.
you sing that, oh, what a beautiful morning? Was that you at all?
Yeah, I know the songs. Yeah, I would probably have sung that. I actually was in a play in high school that had it was a musical, and I was one of the main guys in there, and I sang the old John Denver song, Country Boy, in there.
The Thank God I'm a Country Boy, that one?
Thank God I'm Country Boy, yeah.
You sang Thank God I'm a Country Boy in a high school play?
I did. That was the kickoff of my career.
I'm looking at your list here, and I think I know every one of your number ones by heart, and you know many of the other ones as well. Of the 35 number ones,
I come from.
That's the one. We're going back in time. That's the one.
Denise said that was stupid, and it was going to be a big hit.
Okay. See,
Right
I
now.
knew we would get there eventually. Yes.
Yeah.
You can't possibly play all your number ones in a set at a single show, right? How do you decide which biggest songs you're going to play?
Well, I guess over the years I've tried to just bounce it back and forth with the audience and figure out which ones I feel like that they respond well to, and also which songs fit together in a couple of hours. And I mean, it's tough. I mean, I've had 60 or 70 singles, that have been either 1 or 5 or top 10 hits, and I mean, I couldn't remember them all if you asked me. It makes me feel really bad. Sometimes I'll see a fan out there holding up a sign of a particular song from 20 years ago that I hadn't sung in a long time, and I just can't. Most time I couldn't do it. But every now and then they'll hold something up, and I can remember enough to sing the chorus or something for them, and that's kind of fun to do. But it makes me feel bad. I know some people come to hear one particular song and you just don't get to do it for them. So I try to just pick the biggest ones and the ones that have affected the most people or that I enjoy as well.
How did you earn money to buy your very first ever guitar back in the day?
Well, I didn't buy it. My mom and daddy gave it to me when I was 16 for a birthday. Still got it.
Was that because they knew you wanted to play guitar? Had you expressed, hey, I would love to be able to afford a guitar, and they went and got you one?
Well, yeah, I guess so. I'd been singing, at church some and that kind of thing. And I was dating this girl who had a younger sister that played a 12-string guitar. And we started singing together, just doing some kind of folky stuff and not really country stuff much, but church kind of stuff mainly. And I started playing, just doing that. And then I met a boy that was a friend of one of my older sisters, and he played electric guitar and sang real country stuff. I mean, Gene Watson and Haggard and all that stuff. And he's the one that really turned me on to it and got me singing. He sang real good harmony, and we formed a little duo, and it grew into a band later, and that's what led me to Nashville.
Braden has amazed me. He's so strong.
You hear about cancer, but you don't ever think that it will be your child. It was your...
When you moved to Nashville, was it to be a songwriter or to be a performer?
Singer. I'd never written a song in my life until when I was singing with that band, and everybody kept telling me, you ought to go to Nashville, And so I didn't know much I didn't know anything about the music business or recording or anything. And this one old guy in Noonan, a young man that had a rock band, he played in Atlanta some. He had a little 4-track studio in his basement or something. He's the only guy I ever knew that recorded. And so I asked him about it. He said, yeah, if you go to Nashville, you can't go up there singing everybody else's songs. You need your original material to show them who you are. So I started writing songs. And when I came to Nashville, I had a paper sack full of songs. And a lot of those ended up on the first 2 or 3 records. And
when you started writing songs, because like you say, you didn't have a huge history of writing songs before you got to Nashville, did it come to you pretty easy, or did you have to take a long time and kind of labor to learn how to actually write a good, catchy song?
Well, I think some of it, you got some kind of natural ability to hear melodies and make it rhyme. But, it's a craft. I thought, the more I wrote with experienced writers, I learned. But, I mean, the first month or two I moved to Nashville, I never lived anywhere, and my wife was working a job to pay our bills. I mean, she was out of town most of the time. I was up here by myself, lonely, and it was sad. And the first month or so I was there, I wrote a song for my mama for the Mother's Day that was coming up right after I'd moved here, and it was called Home. It's a song about my mom and daddy in the house they grew up in, and just a true story, a bunch of facts scribbled down. And that was one of the first songs I wrote when I came to town, and it went on to be a hit, years later. And so you just, you never know. You write something like that comes out of you that's personal. Sometimes it writes itself more,
Of the songs that you have written that ended up, again, being big smashes that have gone generationally, which one of them kind of fell out of you the fastest? Where you just kind of sat down an hour and a half, you're like, whoa, we got a song here, and then it turned into a big hit?
Gosh, I've had a lot of them come to me that way. I would think the one that was the most inspirational in a almost spiritual way was Where Were You, when I just got up in the middle of the night and there was that song, and wrote the chorus down, and that whole thing just came out of nowhere. And then the next morning, I started scribbling all those little verse things down about different visions I'd seen during all the turmoil on television and hearing people's stories. So, yeah, that one was almost God sent, you know.
Alan Jackson's on. Where Have You Gone is his first album in 6 years. It'll be available May 14th. Got 21 performances. We've talked about a bunch of the songs so far, but no record for 6 years. Are you a guy that can separate and just put music and life in separate places and just live your life and not worry so much about music for a while?
Oh, definitely so. Yeah, I've always, when I come off the road, I'm off the road, and I've always enjoyed just life with my family and doing things that I've always enjoyed doing, even before I had any money to do it, you know. And it's wonderful. I think that's one thing that's helped me stay more focused and grounded and be able to write songs that still connect with people. Is I've never really worked hard to be in the spotlight.
I got two final questions for you, Mr. Jack. Alan, my friend Alan. That's what I should say. My friend Alan. We have two final questions for you. The first song on your set list, if you were to go out tonight, you hadn't played in a while, what's the first song you play when the crowd's out there going, Alan, Alan?
I usually kick off with Gone Country because it's just a great opening song and a good track for that. And I've been doing that for years, and it leads into the show real well. And the crowd seems to they like that. It's like it's the statement, you know, to kick off the show.
What do you close with?
Typically we get down to Chattahoochee. I do like a running little set of 5 o'clock and Chattahoochee, and then I come do some Mercury Blues sometimes at the end.
Oh, come on, Mercury Blues. That's my jam. That's my jam. Listen, all I think about is Home Improvement and that car turning around. And Tim the Toolman Taylor and Al Borland, and you're up there. I'm going to buy me a Mercury and cruise up and down the road. That's it for me. That's my childhood.
Oh, I love it.
Okay, here's the real final question. Okay, your wife's maiden name was Jackson. Did she even have to change her name legally after you got married?
I don't guess so. I don't.
It's the same Jackson, right? You're just Jackson's Jackson?
Yeah, as far as I know, we're probably related somewhere down the tree. But so far, it had, you know, all our children turned out normal. So.
Okay, there we have it. Upcoming album, Where Have You Gone? Out May 14th. Let me encourage you guys. Check out Where Have You Gone? Check out You'll Always Be My Baby. Check out Things That Matter. Way Down on My Whiskey. He is
That's
a
my
hero
favorite,
of mine.
yeah.
Which one? I'm going to play a little bit of this. Let me get a clip of this.
Way Down in My Whiskey. I love that. That's a country song. That's a country song.
And that's what we love here. That's right. Hey, Mr. Jackson, Alan, thank you very much. Just a massive fan. Appreciate your time. I would say good luck with your career, but I think you already won. So you're the winner, and we're lucky to have you around.
Well, thanks for talking to me. I appreciate it.
Good to see you. Bye, Alan.
Bye-bye.
It is your birthday, isn't it?
Well, it's getting close. I don't know.
We got a nice little surprise today.
We did.
We sure did. Somebody up north ordered 21,000 of those stinky little old albums right there, and that put us over 500,000. Hand-painted version. That's how much it caught us off
This
guard.
looks like something I'd do here.
And we also have the gold CD for you and the gold cassette. So.
It's a team effort, and everybody's been a great team, I think. And I'm real proud and happy. What else can I say?
That's enough.
It's party now.
It's party
now. Woo!
Alan's debut album hit the
If you guys haven't known yet, I'm quite the fan of anything that has to do with Alan Jackson. But
release, and to have our first release to go gold in this short a time is really a dream come true.
I'm just proud of him as my own kid. With his recent 4 CMA nominations and now a gold album, you can easily say 1990 has been a banner year for Alan Jackson.
It's just a year that, first for me, you know, first #1, first album, first big shows, you know, and just everything. And first time at Grand Ole Opry, and they've been real nice to me out there. And that's an institution that I really support and feel strongly about. And my first child was born this year. You know, it's just been an overwhelming year. And I told somebody the other day, boy, everything's going so good and so fast, it's almost scary, like something's going to happen, you know.
Said I should be in here. That's all I needed to hear. So now it's official, but I was a good car salesman. And I'm not really shy. I'm just kind of socially awkward. But mainly I just don't like to talk much. But as a car salesman, I was good because I knew cars. I knew what people needed, so I helped them. But anyway, yeah, I think Jerry House, you know, the radio guy so long here in town, he always liked me, but he used to make fun of my songwriting a lot. He was talking about the transom. If y'all don't know what a transom is, it's the back part of the boat where if it's an outboard, that's where the engine would be. And in a wood boat, a lot of times they get rotten, and that's what that line is, and when the transom got rotten. So I write, Kyle said I write about things I know, and that's what I write about. And had a lot of car parts, and what I was trying to say about Jerry House, he used to make fun of me because he'd say, I wonder what kind of car part or food he's going to have in his song this time, because I'd had cornbread chicken and, you know, and 3-speed on the column, and I don't know, a lot of people probably didn't know what I was writing about, but so he made fun of me, but I wrote what I knew about, and was cars. My daddy was a mechanic. I grew up in the garage. That's all I cared about. That's the reason I came to Nashville to be a singer, because I loved cars, and I couldn't really buy any. And I didn't go to college, but I went more than 3 semesters, but Don Silver. So I didn't have much going on, and I didn't see much of a future of any direction that would help me buy a lot of cars. And being a singing star, it looked like the only shot I had. And that's just about the truth. But I came here, I was so ignorant. I didn't know anything about business. I thought people here on the radio, I thought everybody wrote their own songs. I didn't know there were songwriters that wrote them for them. And so I came here very ignorant. I didn't know what producers were or anything. And just blind ignorance came up here. And I guess some reason God gave me a little bit of talent to throw some words together and some melodies that have worked over these years. But and I do have some happy songs. I'll never be able to sing those songs again. They were such great versions, you know. I always like to hear other people singing. I mean, when you got Leanne and Allison and George Strait singing, I mean, I can't outdo that. So it's going to be hard to sing those songs again. But I do have some happy songs. Chattahoochee, 5 o'clock somewhere, Papa Top. I mean, I've had a lot of them, but that was sweet. But it makes me seem so sad and serious, and I'm not that kind of person, really. But I've always said I love my favorite songs are the heartbreak songs. I love writing them. I love singing them. There's more emotion in them, and they're easier to write. I think most songwriters would tell you that. It's hard to write an up-tempo, positive song and without it sounding kind of made up, corny, or cheesy. But so I love the sad songs. I've had a lot of hits with them. But Denise is probably going like this now. Okay. So, yeah, the Glenn Campbell story everybody knows, and that really did open a lot of doors. But the most important one it opened was meeting Keith Stegall. Keith, when I came to Nashville because I wanted to sing country music, real country music, and there weren't any young guys doing it. And when I got here in September '85, Randy Travis came out with Don's song on the other hand and opened the door for a lot of young guys to sing country music. But it was still hard. Even I was 5 years later when I got a record deal, but it was still hard to get the labels interested in a traditional singer. And so for 5 years I hung around and tried to write and play bars and sang demos for $25. And anytime they needed a traditional country singer on the demo, they'd call me, you know, and that's what I did. But anyway, it led me to Keith Stegall through the Glenn Campbell connection, and he had just produced or co-produced, I think, that Randy's first album, and some of the songs that were on there were I just loved. That was a killer album, you know. It was just a killer album. And I knew Keith was the only guy that could record me the way I wanted to be recorded. And we had tried other venues that never worked. And as soon as I went to the studio with Keith, he let me record a lot of my own songs. And that's when I finally got a record deal. Everybody in town had passed on me once or twice and told me to go back to Georgia and everything. But I thank them too, because it gave me 4 years to learn. And Keith took me in. We cut some songs. Tim Dubois finally gave me a shot over at Arista. And I think, to be honest with you, I think Clive Davis, you know, the big New York kind of pop guy, started that label in Nashville, and I think they signed me just to show that they were serious about making country music, not pop music. I don't think any of them had any idea I was going to sell 60 million albums. They did not know. I was just I was just a token country singer they signed for that label, and bam, it took off. So anyway, Keith and Tim, y'all all were so important in how it all started. And I've had, like Don was saying, you know, it's not just you. It takes a team. I could stand here for hours and never thank all the people that have been a part of what led me here tonight. You know, and it's just I've had so many. I've had a lot of managers. Most of them couldn't put up with me long, and so. But I've had some good ones, and they led me a lot of ways. Helped me in a lot of ways, and took me in the right directions. And some people have been with me I've had employees and been with me for over 20-something years here tonight. It started when two of my band guys out here tonight. They were playing with me in bars before I even had a record deal or anything. We were just traveling around in an old Dodge van playing these terrible 5-night truck stop lounges and things, and they're still with me today out there. Robbie and Roger, we thank y'all. And that's like 30 years? Yes, it's probably 30 years for those two guys, and then some of my band guys have been with me for the whole career as well, and then I've had crew and people that work for me. A guy that drove a truck out there has been with me almost longer than anybody, and he's drove my bus truck, worked at our house, done stuff. Part of the family. Debbie Dober has been my business manager, and lately, the last few years, has taken over the management part too. And they've been with me for, 27 years or something? I don't know. I mean, it's just, I've had great people around me that have helped me find all this. And, you know, I wrote it down.
As always, that's the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to like and subscribe.
Denise told me I don't usually like to write things down like this because it sounds made up.